Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the second installment of Three for the Road. This is your co host, Punk Rock. We're here today with Drifter and our little brother there, Andar. So, thank you for hanging out with us. We kind of messed up a little bit. We just had life happen. That's why we're kind of spacing this one out a little bit. As we go on, we'll figure out a more consistent schedule if it works out, or if not, you could just, deal with it and we'll post as we post.
That's because we couldn't post bail.
That's because we couldn't post bail. So today we are discussing three influential movies that we feel affected not only the motorcycle club culture, but the motorcycle culture in general. So I'm going to go ahead and toss this over to Andar because he is extremely pompous about this subject. And we'll go ahead and start with you, man. What you got, brother?
First of all, that's defending champion is what you were looking for on that. Also, it's it's important to mention that we narrowed it down to three, or we picked three, or we each chose one, or whatever you want to say, because of the fact that we simply do not have time to go through every single movie that's out there or everything somebody might try to troll us with. So we simply pick three, shut the fuck up, and enjoy it.
Yeah, just like you said last week, people were getting hot on us about like, oh, you didn't fucking pick this guy. It's like, well, get fucked. I didn't pick that guy. It wasn't. This is
There's only
you know.
there's only so much time in a day. People need to relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Unless they want to pay us. If they want to pay us, I'll put up whoever you want me to talk about.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
fuck yeah.
I need
So
I
if
need them to match my salary right now if they're gonna pay me to do this shit.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, it sounds like Punk Rock has Easy Rider, great movie.
Mhm.
Jim has The Wild Ones, which fun fact, Jim was actually in. And then
I fucking wrote it. Shut up.
and then I'm doing Wild Angels.
It's funny because Jim's old as shit.
Everybody already
Hey,
knows that.
you know what? Both of you, get the fuck off my lawn.
All right. So how do we want to do this, guys? We want to talk about our movies and then go one at a time. Should we just kind of go back and forth?
Well, hey, so just tell me, why did you pick Wild Angels? Movie made in 1966. Why'd you make that?
Because it's influential. Duh.
Oh my fucking god, you prick.
So, I picked this movie because I think about it, and I know, and I think it's kind of funny now when he passed away, Peter Fonda, and a lot of people, right or wrong, were like trashing him and this guy because, he became kind of what do you want to call it? A liberal, a hippie, kind of whatever different things.
Douchebag.
He just got into politics real bad. Let's just leave it at
there
that.
You go.
That's not
perfect.
one side or the other.
But when you look at characters that he played, I mean, the dude was an influential kind of guy in these biker films that we see, and especially, Wild Angels coming out in 66. And I really think, that movie compiled with kind of the times that are going on. You've got kind of that beatnik and that hippie movement. You've got kind of the counterculture, the Vietnam era is going on. And I think it just kind of exploded into what we kind of see as bringing I hate this, I'm going to use air quotes here. It brought that outlaw lifestyle to kind of the forefront. It brought it to mainstream. I know Jim's going to talk about The Wild One and stuff like that, which is a great movie, but like Wild One came out like 6 years after Hollister came out. Like, it's an immediate impact. Like dudes were like starting clubs like while they were still in the movie theater. They were like, I want a large popcorn and a backpack. Let's fucking go.
I thought we weren't going to talk about biker boys.
But that is why I picked Wild Angels, for that immediate kind of impact, and it was just born in the right kind of time. Like it was just in your face.
Okay. Now, how about you, Drifter? Why'd you pick The Wild One? 1953, right. Marlon Brando.
Yeah, 1953, man. December of 53, The Wild One.
You were like 12 when that movie came out, right?
Yeah, fuck you. So anyway, hey, name another biker club movie that came out before The Wild One.
Ooh, good point. Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
I just figured it was cool that the oldest dude, walking the planet, still picked the oldest club movie. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and so anyway, get the fuck off my lawn, dude. And so I mean, just little things. Did you know that after that movie came out, throughout the entire year of 1954, black leather jackets increased sales by like 75%. Just went through the roof for these fucking leather jackets, man. Triumph had
Everybody
sold
wanted to look like
not
Johnny.
that many bikes in America, and then all of a sudden after this movie, man, there's Triumph dealerships everywhere. So anyway, that's why I picked the Wild One.
Okay. So I picked the Easy Rider, like Andar said. And the reason I did that one was more so it went kind of away from the club movie stuff, and we had already talked about that before I had picked a movie. Because this is really just a continuation on your guys' conversation that you guys had a while back, writing for Sucker Free. So I obviously, like, my first choice was going to be the Wild One, for similar reasons to Jim. But I also didn't want to just discuss two movies here. We got three dudes. It'd be kind of weird, and then we'd make Andar feel bad.
He should feel bad anyway.
I mean, that's true. I'd probably hate myself if I looked in the mirror and saw that every day. But the reason I chose,
I'm not the one trying to argue for an influential movie that was literally banned in Europe for like 14 years. Like, how are you going to be influential and be banned? You can't influence people if they're not. You can't influence people if they can't see it.
Well, see, that's the thing, right?
Well, actually, okay. So hang on, I gotta address this. Okay, so yes, it was banned in England. All right, and it didn't lift until like what 67. Anyway, it was banned because it was so fucking influential. Because people were seeing this and going, "Holy shit! I can get on my motorbike, go down to the fucking local pub, and raise hell." And it scared the holy fuck out of the powers that be. So they banned it. But that doesn't mean people didn't see it. You could still see it in film clubs, and film clubs were kind of a big thing throughout Europe, but Britain especially. So it got played. You just couldn't play it in a public theater.
Exactly. And to go with that, I think it helped perpetuate with, those the hydroglides that they were riding. The style that
the bobber.
Yeah, I mean
that's the first time people saw bobbers.
And just dudes just doing what the fuck they wanted to do, going where they wanted to go, and just living how they wanted to live. Like, yeah, I get it does showcase a little bit of the negative side of our culture, right? Where you got these two fucking dudes in LA running drugs for the
Easy Rider, yeah.
Right? Like, I get that, cool. But at the same time, with Cliff Voss designing these bikes that just, when you think old school traditional Harley Davidson, you think Captain America, right?
Well, that was the star of the movie. Let's just put that out front.
Absolutely. Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper, they were not there. They were extras for Captain America.
Yes, they were.
But it's just that very much that fuck you. I'm going to do what I want to do. Leave me alone. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to be in your life. I just want to live mine and cruise down the fucking road.
You just described the Wild Ones.
Well, to an extent, right? Absolutely. But I also said that I didn't want to just talk about two movies here with the three of us and then gang up on Andar. But
don't worry, I've got notes. Don't worry, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Dude, you asked for it.
I have very minimal notes, especially on the Wild One. But I mean, the Wild One's not very cut and dry, but it's pretty straightforward. There's definitely a lot of important parts in the movie that if you've never lived it, that you're definitely going to miss and think that they're insignificant, but little shit like when they're doing the drag to the bar, right? And then the fucking wrecking of the car. Everybody was like, no, fuck those biker dudes. But the cop came up. It was just like, nah, yeah, but really what happened? Like, that's fucking astonishing today, especially for club dudes that live in highly populated areas like LA, San Diego, New York, Boston. Whenever you get in those really saturated areas, 9 times out of 10, your interaction with the law enforcement is going to be negative. They're either harassing you for something because they believe you're either in this large club and they believe that you're doing some sort of criminal activity, or you're a support club for a larger club conducting criminal activity. I've experienced that. I'm sure that you guys have experienced that, especially and Jim, like that would astonish me if you've experienced it in your club.
Oh, felony stop is no fun. I'll just put that out there right now. When you get pulled over for a felony stop. Yeah, because you get these cops out here that have no idea what they're looking at. And I've been pulled over for a felony stop, and it fucking sucks. And it takes all afternoon. But anyway, so back to the movies.
Yeah. So I went through, and I'm actually really excited about this conversation because I never saw Wild Angels before. I just, like, I would look through movies, and I would see these corny ass fucking movie covers and be like, that thing's gayer than AIDS. I'm gonna skip it. And then fucking that dude, what's his name? Andar said that he was gonna talk about it, so I had to watch it so I know what I was talking about.
I'm gonna tell you right now, the Wild one is like West Side Story without the snapping, okay? And you had some finger snaps in there, and that is the Wild one.
Because it was 1953, of course it was.
Exactly, and you have all of these established clubs, and not to name drop here, and everybody knows we said it in the first one, we don't care about your favorite club or anything like that. We're just talking about stuff that's out there. You know, all these clubs were around before the Wild one. You talk about, like, you know, HA, the 13 Rebels, the Booze Fighters, the Galloping Goose, the Sharks, the Yellow Jackets, all these famous clubs, all these big name clubs are already there. After Wild Angels comes out, some of the heavy hitters that we think of today come out of that era. The Wild one came into a time when it was very much mom, God, country, and apple pie. The Wild Angels came into a time when it was the counterculture, Vietnam. It was the Monterey rape case. You know, it was Hunter Thompson's first book coming out about these guys. Like, you know, people saw this, and the culture. The movie was born into a culture that was ready for it. The Wild one is a great movie, but it wasn't born into the same culture that it represents.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It created that culture. Everything was mom and pop. Motorcycle guys, they all wore those goofy ass outfits that made them look like cops, and they all rode around and did little tricks and that sort of stuff. And then all of a sudden, here comes the Wild ones. Holy fuck, these guys are drag racing in the street, getting drunk, getting thrown in jail, fighting each other. It was a big shocker. That's why it was banned. That's why it was.
Well, it took longer. I'm saying it took longer for that to take effect here than it did for the Wild Angels. Was an immediate credits roll explosion. Wild Ones, it snuck up on America. And you're right, Wild Ones did change the entire landscape. However, if we're going to argue for an immediate impact, Wild Angels.
No, I think Wild Angels just surfed the culture that was already in place.
Ooh,
they didn't change the culture, they just surfed it.
I'm gonna put in here. I kind of agree with both of you, right? Like Drifter, I agree that the culture was already building up to where the Wild Angels was at, right? Like as a whole, right? Because obviously it was based loosely on the Monterey rape case and the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, right? So it was already building up to that, and then it just fucking slammed in everybody's fucking faces, and everybody just kind of like, oh shit, okay, it's real. Like we've heard rumors, but like this is legit. And then the wave kind of came after that.
See, would you want to hang out with any of those fuckers that were in Wild Angels? I mean, they fucking raped the guy's widow. Okay, their brother's widow. They fucking raped her in a church. But you know,
but it's okay. It was a fun
those guys.
But you know, no, I completely agree with that. I don't like, you know, when Andar and I were talking about this, he was giving me shit. He's like, oh, he's fucking riding around with coke in his gas tank. Well, first off, motherfucker, it was cash, not coke. Coke happened at the beginning of the movie.
No, he sold the coke out of his gas tank to get the cash. That's how he get it back and forth.
Brohammer.
Trade secrets.
Anyway.
Well, for the listeners,
so, but
we know, but for the listeners, the term Easy Rider actually refers to a guy who lives off either drug money or money his old lady brings in. That's what an Easy Rider is.
Yes. So I think that the Wild Ones really just, it represents everything that's wrong with our culture, right? There's all.
Oh, you mean Wild Angels? You mean Wild Angels, not the Wild.
Yes,
Ones.
that's what I meant. I'm sorry, you're right. Wild Angels, Peter Fonda, right? And it did have a pretty bitchin' cast. It had Peter Fonda, Nancy Sinatra. I mean, it was fucking rad.
Bruce Dern, Diane Ladd.
Yep.
Yeah.
But what I did notice was kind of cool. That I kind of immediately noticed was they're all wearing 1% diamonds.
Because they were supposed to be HA.
Well, yeah, but I just thought it was kind of cool that they went that far as to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like today, you have shows like Sons of Anarchy and the Mayans where they're not wearing shit like that. They'll have little tabs and shit and rockers that mean something to them. And I think that like, okay, cool, they're getting kind of close to the culture, but they're not gonna be ballsy enough to put 1% diamonds on their shit.
And hang on real quick, as a caveat to that, people are going to say, or not everybody, but some people, they like to complain about these TV shows. They like to complain about some of these movies and all this stuff, and it's ruining the culture. And let's talk about Biker Boys. It's ruining the culture. It's ruining the culture. Okay, shelve that argument for a minute and think about this. Every one of these things that we've talked about so far has had a representative and respected club influence or be a part of the, what do you want to call it? Not consolidating, but consulting for the movie.
Absolutely.
That's true.
The Wild One, Hell's Angels on Wheels, Wild Angels, Biker Boys, Sons of Anarchy. All of these shows and movies have had legitimate clubs be part of the input process.
Absolutely. Yep. With the Sons of Anarchy, David LaBrava.
And Easy Rider.
Well, I'm just saying, like some of the stuff we mentioned, right? Like, so Sons of Anarchy, David LaBrava played Happy. He was active at the time. He's former now, but at the time he was an active Hell's Angel. And the Hell's Angels Oakland charter was brought on. They put some of the cast through the fucking prospect period. They obviously kept the club business out of it. They let them in for little shit that they couldn't really do too much damage and shit like that, so they could actually learn. They can learn like, hey, you're supposed to be doing this. That's why you see little things like when Jax meets somebody, he does shit that 90% of the motherfucking club dudes that I've met recently and today don't do, which is he'll raise his glasses up on top of his head, take his glove off to shake somebody's hand. But
anyway, let's get back on track because
but with the Wild Angels, with the Wild Angels, cheaters, they were stars in the movie as well as consultants to, hey, like we would do this, no, we wouldn't do that, and that's fucking spot on. That's totally something we would do. So me personally, I don't know why they allowed the rape in the church, but whatever.
I think that it's one of those B shock movies. I mean, it was the top grossing film for '66 with a budget of only like $30,000, but it's a shock value. And the Monterey rape case, and it was dismissed, but was heavily in the news. It was heavily influenced in Hunter Thompson's book, so it was something that they wanted to bring up. And then you have to, especially in that era, you're gonna Hollywood eyes it or whatever and blow it out of proportion. And I think that's what it did. It's the same thing with, you could argue here, hey, Drifter, what's more iconic, the speech in the Wild Ones or the speech in Wild Angels?
I bet you more people know the one with the Wild Ones.
I'm gonna.
What are you rebelling against?
Yeah.
What do you got?
What do you got?
I don't know. The whole "we just want to be free."
We just want to be
free. First of all, let's
just
call that out. That's fucking hippie bullshit.
Hey, but I kind of agree with him though. Blues, the man made some good points.
Yeah.
And that was also, fun fact, the Wild Angels, that was also the first biker flick that Peter Fonda did. Supposed to be George Chakiris, but he couldn't ride, so they replaced him with Peter Fonda.
Very cool.
Yeah. And Leonard Martin said that movie was okay after 24 beers. So, that out there.
I wouldn't even go that far.
Yeah. But it's
I saw there was an article with
before the calendar year ended in 1966, it still grossed $5.5 million. So obviously it wasn't that shitty of a movie.
There's a fun story with what's his name, the director, Roger Corman or whatever.
Yeah,
he's talking about. Yeah, he was talking about different movies that he's done like that, and they asked him what his most memorable was to direct, and he said The Wild Angels, and they said why, and he said, well, I got a call from the Angels one day that says we're coming to kill you, and he said, well, hold on a minute. He said, hold on a minute, you could do that. Because they didn't feel like they were represented well, especially with the way that he kind of exploited the whole tabloid Monterey rape case thing. They were upset about that. And they said, we're coming to get you. They said, okay, so understandably, they said, we're coming to get you. And he said, well, hold on a minute. You're also suing me. And you can't get $1 from me if you kill me. So do you want the money or do you want me dead? And they took the money.
Well, I mean, don't know. I might have gone the other way.
You know what? You can't spend it behind bars.
That's my thing, man. That's my thing. And then see, I don't know, man. Marlon Brando's depiction of Johnny, it was good, but I think also, I mean, it's kind of like Andar said, man. It's kind of like West Side Story. He played kind of it was weird because whenever you see him in the movie, he's got those little puppy dog eyes, like somebody just fucking kicked his puppy, and he's just trying not to cry.
Hey, Drifter, since this is your movie, who's more influential to you, Brando or Marvin?
I don't know. Let's ask. Okay, Marvin. Really, for me personally, if you look at Lee Marvin's character, that is exactly how a 1940s biker looked, acted, talked, rode, his whole attitude. I mean, that is a biker. What
okay, so hey,
Brando had, that was a Hollywood version of a biker.
So for our listeners, Jim, explain who Lee Marvin is in the movie.
So in the movie, you've got Johnny, who heads up the Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, and they roll into town, start raising a little hell. But then along comes Lee Marvin, who is the breakaway club of the Beatles. Where have we heard that name before? Maybe a certain rock and roll club took their name from there. But anyway, the Beatles come along into town, and there's a little confrontation between the two. But if you look at it, it's really interesting, the difference between Lee Marvin's character, and not just his character, but all of his guys. They all ride Harleys. They all dress like 1940s bikers. And then you've got Johnny's side, which is what Hollywood thought a biker should look like, with the black leather jacket, which went on. Then you had James Dean with the same look, Fonzie from Happy Days with the same look. You know, that was what a biker was supposed to look like until we get to the 60s.
Yeah. Okay. See, I mean, I really enjoyed Marvin's character. He was kind of a dick, right?
Yeah, he's a funny dick, though.
he was fucking hilarious about it, and it was kind of weird.
Don't you love me no more?
Yeah. You know, he was almost respectful about saying "fuck you," you know, which I thought was really kind of cool about his character. And the fact that when some shit goes down and they're like, well, hey, wait a minute, if you're going to take him, you're going to take me too, because I was doing it.
Yeah, really. His character was saying, hey, Johnny, let's fucking duke it out and kiss and make up, man. Let's fucking end this shit, but we got to fucking fight first.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. It wasn't personal. It was just, let's just fucking fix it.
Yeah.
So I have a question for both of you, and we'll take turns answering this. What had more, I don't want to say, not media info, but all right, what had more social commentary, I think is the word, as a way I want to phrase that. What movie out of these three had more kind of hit the times better, had more social commentary on the era that it was born into? That'd be, you know, Wild Angels, Wild One, Easy Rider. Which one kind of represented that, what was going on in society at the time better?
Oh, I see. Rigging the questions. Okay, right on.
Yeah,
that's by
definitely
prison rules. I got it.
So I think they're all important in their own right, even though they are close in time, relatively, right? I mean, well, yours is my pick, really. Anyway, they're 3 years apart, but Drifter, his shit
53 and 66 between me and Andar's.
66 and 69. So I think in their own right, at each time, each film did justice to what it was trying to do, right? So Easy Rider was just kind of like, hey man, we just want to show these fucking nerds rolling across the fucking country, just being bikers, just doing what they want to fucking do, not trying to cause hate and discontent, just trying to have a good time and just fucking live their life. And then you got the Wild Ones, which I think did a poor job of depicting Hollister, because that's what they were trying to fucking do. Let's be real. That's why they call it the Wild One.
Well, I want to hear the guy. Oh, wait a minute. I want to hear the guy that picked the movie. I want to hear him tell me. I want to hear about you. Tell me about Easy Rider. I want to hear Jim tell me why Wild One was socially.
Okay. I was just going to go down a list about my thoughts, but all right. So Easy Rider, 1960, brought in 60 mil. I think it did justice, just because you had some cowboy looking motherfucker and just some shaved-faced, pretty boy-looking dude. And it didn't matter. You know, they looked like they ran in different circles. If you strip away the jackets, right? They looked like they would run in different circles. But they just want to fucking smoke weed, fuck, drink, and then they want to stop off for Mardi Gras, have a good time there, and then keep fucking off to Florida and just live their lives. I think that in the time, right? Because obviously I wasn't there. I mean, Drifter was, but I wasn't alive in 1960.
I was.
So I don't know if that was really the fucking case, but from everybody I know that was biking in that era, was pretty much that. It was either you were in a club just trying to do your own thing, trying to ride with your brother somewhere, or you weren't in a club just trying to do your own thing and ride with people who you considered your fucking brothers and just go fuck off somewhere. Not being harassed, just being who you are. You know, like, I mean, us. I cuss a lot anyways. I know Andar does as well. But I mean, really the only place that we were kind of welcomed at, and we hit a couple places when he came down here and visited me. We were really only accepted in one place, and we were the only bikes there. But it was the other places that kind of rejected us and kind of like, hey, here's your beer. You kind of might want to hurry up and get the fuck out of here.
All right, Drifter, why the Wild Ones?
So when we first started this, the whole idea was what movie is more influential as far as the biker community goes. So the reason I went with Wild One, I think Wild One kind of changed the culture. You went from mom and pop racing teams that to all of a sudden, oh, bikers are kind of bad boys, right? So that happened. Along comes Wild Angels, and I don't think they so much changed the culture, but I think they reflected it back to the general audience going, hey, this is where the culture is now. And then we get Easy Rider, which I kind of rode the tail end of that. Hey, the 60s were winding down. You know, the summer of love is done. We realize fucking hippies are just stinky little bastards. We're just going to ride off into the sunsets.
Okay.
But hey, I got a little caveat here. That's not my favorite biker movie. My favorite biker movie is actually Mask, but it didn't really change the culture. That's the only movie that I know of where real fucking bikers are portrayed in a good light. You know
what? They really I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say that of the 5 people that listen to this, 4 out of 5 are going to agree with you. I think The Mask is a great movie, like you mentioned, and I think, you know, while you, like you said, it may not have that same kind of influentialness to it. I think if you asked a room full of dudes that ride or in clubs, whatever, I think they would all talk about The Mask. I think you're absolutely right on that one.
I would definitely agree with that. You know, because it does show the more like responsible, caring side of that. You know, of the fucking biker culture. And not so much that I'm gonna rape my brother's wife in a church type deal.
Yeah, each one of those characters in Mask, we all know guys like that.
Yeah,
we know them.
100%.
Well, and I think, hang on, that's a good segue here. For why I want to say that's a good segue for why we're going to talk about the society or whatever that Wild Angels came into or represented was, you know, you think about like Blues, when he goes to visit Loser at the job site and Loser gets fired. You know, the foreman is a World War II vet, and he takes issue with the Iron Cross. You know, and when you think about that era and these veterans and the differences between the Vietnam era and the World War II veteran and these guys coming home and getting into clubs, I think that's just a great kind of snapshot, whether they meant it to be or not. It's a great snapshot to kind of encompass that difference of what that biker was feeling versus the World War II biker coming home, and you know, the Iron Cross for Loser is kind of meant as a shock value, and that's what a lot of them did. And they wanted society to stay away from them, and they looked for ways to shock that society, and that was part of it. And then he loses his job, you know, representing that World War II vet. The foreman is kind of representing the man and the man holding him back and not giving him a chance. And then you think about, like, you know, when they tie up the priest and before they had the party and the orgy in the church, they tie up the priest. And that's because, you know, religion and the Lord and these sort of things have never been there for these people. And I think that was something that guys in clubs in the mid to early 60s identified very heavily with. auto industry was going away, manufacturing was going away, you know, all these things, these jobs, the economy is kind of tanking a little bit. Vietnam people are getting disrespected out the ass. How can we kind of insulate ourselves from that BS that we don't want to be a part of? And so you have things like the Iron Crosses and the Nazi regalia and turning up your nose to religion and straight society and 9-to-5 jobs and things like that. And the Wild Angels, even though it kind of goes over the top, especially like how it dramatizes the Monterey rape thing and all that, I think Wild Angels hits that culture and that era perfectly.
Yeah, it reflected it back very well. I don't think it changed it. I think it reflected it back.
Ooh, I like that. Good.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I think you just beat me.
Ta-da!
Although I'll have you know, Von Dutch did paint Blues' bike for that movie.
I mean, that's cool. I mean, we had Cliff Foz, we had Ben Hardy, you know, and he was known as the king of bikes. Do the bikes for my pick. That's, you know, hashtag humble brag. Oh, also, not to fucking brag about my pick, but my film was added to the National Library of Congress Film Registry in 1998, which unfortunately I can't say that about your two.
But a fucking hippie that did it. And oh, by the way, the bike in my movie was owned by Brando. He rode his own personal bike in that movie.
So I will, okay, so that's fucking rad. I did not know that.
Yeah, that Triumph is his.
But I do have to give my cousin a little shout out here. So Jimmy, he's just so you guys know, he's one of the like 3 people that follow us on YouTube.
Hey Jimmy.
Yeah, and he's one of our, I mean, he is a faithful Sucker Free MC follower. He gets on all there. So appreciate that, brother man. He did a job at Dennis Hopper's house, right? Oh. And he thought it was fucking hilarious. And I told him we were going to talk about this. He says, dude, you have to fucking mention it. So I got to bring it up, just out of respect for him. So he was doing a job at Dennis Hopper's house, right? He tidying everything up, you know, answered the door, and it was just your typical rich fucking dude setup. You know, he answers the door, and the fucking butler walks up, says, yeah, what you need to fix is over here. He's doing the job. And he, like, leans out of his little workspace and looks up, and there's Dennis Hopper standing there, just all fucking frizzied hair, and then runs away limp-wristed in his little, like, silk bathrobe, like high-stepping it, screaming for the butler that someone's in my house, someone's in my house.
That's too much coke, man.
That's a lot of coke. But he just thought it was funny that this is the movie I'm picking. He has this experience where we're looking at Dennis Hopper as this fucking badass on a motorcycle who's just fucking smoking weed, getting into fights, having a good time, trying to fuck bitches at a hippie camp. You know, that was probably my favorite part. But
you know, as we get ready to wrap this up, I think I'm gonna have to give this one to Drifter. I think Drifter's gonna win this one.
As if I didn't win the last one.
Oh, you didn't.
You're so confused.
I just love listening to you two banter because it's like listening to my grandpa and my little brother argue about something that they both know a lot about, and I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. So I just feel like I'm kind of caught in the middle here. I think realistically, the only reason I'm actually on the show is because you guys need somebody to edit the videos, and I don't even really know what I'm doing, but I said, fuck it, I can do it. Can I talk? And you guys are like, yeah, sometimes, but just like,
that's right.
On men do things.
So, yeah, I think, you know what, you talk of the Wild One and the changing of the culture versus Wild Angels kind of reflecting back the culture. I like that, and I'm going to buy that. I think the Wild Angels definitely influence people to get a patch with their popcorn, which we would definitely frown on today. But I think we can agree in 66, nobody really gave a shit. And people, they come on Sucker Free all the time. They talk about, you know, how World War II vets did this or people did that back in the day. And I totally get that. I can sympathize with you, bro. But like I said earlier, man, the shitter's full. Like, we don't need anything new. Like, those guys, those Vietnam vets, those World War II vets, World War I, they blazed the trail, man. The path is there. Take it. You don't really have to go off the beaten path. All right. It's urbanized.
100%. And we fucking, it feels like at least once a month, I think the 3 of us kind of take turns writing about it. Is that it's 2019. there's nothing new that you're going to bring to this fucking culture. There's all sorts of religious clubs, you know, whether it's Christian, insert whatever, you know, there's religious clubs, there's recovery clubs, there's all sorts of shit out there that you could fucking find. Quit bringing new shit in here. But I'm sorry. That's just something I'm really passionate about. I can keep going on that.
Jim, do you have a victory? Jim Drifter, do you have a victory speech prepared?
I will now sing "I Am the Champion."
Okay, I'm going to stop recording right now.
I think because it's Veterans Day, you have to go with like Lee Greenwood or something, don't you?
So for our many listeners out there in listener land, the only reason he said that is because he uploaded a video to us about him singing to his wife, and how this man is still married, I don't know. Singing Lee Greenwood on Veterans Day.
First of all, it was Toby Keith. First of all,
that was Toby Keith. I'm gonna go ahead and need you to start pushing that.
They're
shit.
all the fucking same, aren't they? If it's not fucking Led Zeppelin, then what the fuck
racist.
is it use?
That's racist.
Do you know how many cutoff flannels and cans of dip I had to leave under my porch to get Toby Keith vocals? A lot. All right. So what's the next thing? What do we got going on for the next one?
All right. So for the next topic, we're going to switch this up a little bit, right? So we're going to go from, instead of influential shit that we've seen in the culture and people, we're going to go with rides. So Jim has been all around this country. Like, I think when we were talking, he said something like 84,000 times. Because he actually helped design the first Harley Davidson.
Back in my day.
Who else is gonna be?
So yeah, we're gonna talk about our different experiences on the road, and we're gonna pick our one favorite place to ride, whether it's a state, whether it's a county, or whether it's just one fucking stretch of road that you would go 100 miles out of your way to hit. So we're going to do that. And then we also have a special guest next week. He's a fellow rider at Sucker Free MC. You may, the three guys that follow this, I think one of them follows Sucker Free. Tragic One Percenter from the Mongols Motorcycle Club. And yes, guys, I did get permission to say that. He's going to be joining us next week to kind of give another perspective, because I know he does a lot of out-of-state trips, both for pleasure and business. And he says that he's really excited to talk about this as well.
I just think that, we just want to be free. We want to be free to ride our machines.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh, man. I had such high hopes. And then
wait. So we're not getting loaded?
I mean, I'm yelling.
Yeah, sure. Let's get loaded and bring out the widow.
You're not. Oh, man. Okay, that was dark. So, hey, thank you so much for joining us on our second ever show. We appreciate that. We're going to try to do this more consistently, but like I said, some shit happens for us to post, and some of us can't post bail. So
I don't give a shit about their consistency.
So we're going to, neither one of them care about consistency, but I care about our audience here. I care about you guys. I'm going to do my best to wrangle the geriatric fuck and the fake Peter Fonda guy to try to make this a little more. Yeah, anyways, so before I start a fight on the air, it's been great. We're going to have a really awesome show next week, hopefully. And then we'll see you then.